All right, thank you for joining us. Today we are going to talk about how to reach every reader and some ideas for using AI in your school or classroom to kind of reinvigorate reading and reading practices for your students. So if you would like to follow along with the presentation on the screen, you're welcome to do so. Or if you would like to use your own copy of the presentation, you can use that short link that is either on the bottom of my screen or that Vera so kindly has dropped in the chat. And then you'll be able to click on all the links and follow along that way. I do recommend that, but whichever way works for you works for me as well. So for those of you that don't know, hello, good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Sipe. I am the Southwest Regional Consultant for Digital Teaching and Learning. I've also included my email. If you need anything or you have follow-up questions, I am happy to answer that as well. On this call, we also have Molly Holloman, who is our library lead for North Carolina, as well as Vera Cubero. Would you all like to say hi or introduce yourself?
Just wave in is good enough.
Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and get moving. We are going to try something new today, so you're going to bear with me for just a second, and I am going to pull up Mentimeter, and we are going to do a little activity. Hopefully it works, and if it doesn't, that's okay. We will just abandon ship like we do as educators, and we will keep moving. So I just want to do a quick little poll to see how you personally feel about reading in one word. So one word. And what you will do is on your screen, you should see it, and then you should see an area where you can vote and put in your information. So far we have pleasurable, amazing, love. Reading is the best escape for sure. Yeah, Vera, I was really excited when I found the application feature in Teams. So hopefully we can not run out of mentees and use it. Right. Oh, it's comfortable. I like that. It's comforting, isn't it? Helpful, absolutely. Exciting. I love this. Okay, so I'm going to give just 3 more seconds to do that. Wait time is really hard when you're in an online meeting. I know that we say that over and over again, but it is. All right, I'm going to move to the next survey, which is more about your students and how they feel about reading. So we have a strongly disagree over to the left and then strongly agree over to the right. So you can go ahead and slide that scale wherever you want to tell us about how your students feel about reading. It was like quick popped up. It's awesome. The students pretty excited about reading. All right, we'll give just a couple more seconds to see where we all land on that. Okay, so what I am seeing here is we're seeing 3.1 saying students are excited about reading, but we're also seeing an uptick, which is what I had thought would probably happen, that if a text doesn't feel just right, maybe it's too challenging or it's too easy, and students might quickly disengage. And then students love innovative approaches when it comes to reading and writing, which I think is true for most every subject as well. So thank you for participating in that Menti so we could see where our students fall. I am glad that worked out for us. I'm going to go back to sharing my presentation now. And we're going to skip over this activity because we just did some of this. So we're going to get started with one idea, which I call Fable Forge, shape your own saga. So this is basically just using a Google Doc to help students build a template and fill out a template to be able to create a story. So this will actually act as a prompt to students where they could put this information into a student-friendly LLM, maybe something like Magic School, or the teacher can copy and paste the prompt that students generate into their own LLM to create a story. So I'm going to go ahead and very quickly demonstrate this for you. And then I'm going to give you a chance to do it yourself. We'll spend about just 5 minutes playing with this. I did do this with my daughter who's in 6th grade, who does not love reading so much, but she was really excited about this. I forgot to put the marker in for 6 through 8, so you're just going to have to scroll down for 6 through 8. I apologize for that, and I will fix that. I'm going to do 3, 5 because this is easy. Kind of in the middle, there's not too much background to the story. You'll see it becomes more simpler for K2, and there's more detail on up for 6, 8 through 9, 12. And this certainly can be tailored in any way that you want. So you just select what kind of story you want. It's basically just a drop down. I'm going to do a medium length. Let's go ahead and keep that fiction.
Lindsay, I want to interrupt you for just a second. So you got to fix sharing on that
Sure.
document.
It
we have to request
be,
access. Okay.
Oh, maybe it should be a copy that's forced. Are you all not getting a copy? I can drop it in the chat too.
I put that short link in the chat, but it's doing the same thing for me, Lindsay.
That is super weird.
And yeah, the link that you just did too.
Okay, let's just open this all the way up. And then, oh wait, hold on. I know that is the problem, is because, let me go here. Let's just make this, anyone with a link can view. So at the least, you can copy and paste. And then I'm going to also do a copy here and see if that works. That's definitely not going to work. And I double checked all of this. Of course I did. Fable Forge.
While we're stalled out anyway, the presentation link that I have in the chat is not matching what you have on the screen either. I think maybe you've got 2 copies of it.
This reaching readers isn't matching what you see?
When I click it, it just looks different. It's the content looks different.
Yeah, that's super weird. Okay.
Yeah.
That's from a presentation from last week.
Okay.
I apologize. Okay, the first link works now.
Okay, thank you.
And then we'll use that for the presentation.
Okay.
Sorry, this is wild. All right.
I think the Fable Forge is working now, which is awesome.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and
Okay.
get people going on that then. Thank you.
All right, let's keep moving then. That's weird. All right, so I'm going to make it about a superhero, and I want it to happen in a castle. And how about finding hidden treasure? Surprising. Silly sidekick, and a magic map. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my saga that I made, my fable, and I'm going to dump it into ChatGTP That is just my preference. You certainly can use whatever you want. Obviously, again, if you are using this with students, you're not going to have students copy the text from their document into an LLM that is not for students. So again, I would suggest if students are copying and pasting it, use something like Magic School, and then you can use Raina, their chatbot, which is a great option for students as well. And I'll demonstrate what both look like, and they'll obviously be different stories, but Raina creates a really nice story too. Thanks, Kendra. I tried to make it kind of bright and happy so it would entice students a little bit more. So in about a minute, obviously students are probably going to spend a little bit more time picking and choosing, might be a little indecisive. But in just a minute, I have a really cool story that, a child has not written, but done a lot of the heavy lifting on picking the details. So it's going to interest them a bit more and engage them. I also love this read aloud feature in ChatGTP. Magic School also has the same feature. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it because I have my AirPod in, but I really like that it actually sounds like a human. And then if I want to, I can go into my settings and change the voice of what my read aloud feature looks like. So it can be one of these 3 or 4 folks for now, and I'm sure that will just continue to develop and grow. I'll also drop this into Raina, the chatbot, so that you can see the difference as well. Again, the way the prompt is set up, it already tells you, like, I want you to create a story. So it's going to be a really quick way to do that without you having to do much interaction as well. So it's a little bit shorter. It is still, a great story, very inventive, very exciting. Again, my child who's in 6th grade, not a really big fan of reading, will tolerate it. She was really excited about this. So something I wanted to share with you as well. Again,
Lindsay,
they have the read aloud feature.
Can I interrupt you one more time?
Sure.
The presentation, since we had to change the link, also needs shared. I'm dropping it in the chat again, but can you open that up for anyone with a link? And I will mute myself and not interrupt you anymore.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
just
Thank you.
yeah. Sorry, yikes. All right. Back to Raina, a great read aloud feature as well. Does not sound like a bot of any kind. Sounds like a very nice human voice. So a great way for your students to listen to text and visually read it as well. That helps greatly with fluency. It helps greatly with comprehension. They're going to remember a bit more if they're looking at it visually and they're hearing it auditorily as well. So that is the Fable Forge. Let's go ahead and we're going to spend 5 minutes trying this out. Does everybody want to give it a try if you haven't already started playing around with it? Thumbs up if you want 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to set the timer to hold myself accountable. And I am starting the timer for 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and try it. And then we are going to come back together. We're going to share what we found here. We've got 3 minutes left. Vera, do you want me to create an adult one for you so you can make tall tales at night in your free time?
I'm good. I just love the idea of using that for prompting. I hadn't thought of that, but the drop downs, that's a fantastic way to build out prompt
It's a
samples.
good way to keep students in the
Mm-hmm.
rails a little bit more,
Yeah.
so they're really a bit more successful, because it's so
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming when you start
Yeah.
prompting at
Well,
first.
full disclosure, I'm still
I've
in that
used
idea.
it with Yeah, I've used it with teachers in a lot of my PD, and it's really helpful. So if you work with adult learners, I would suggest that as well. It's really helpful
Mm-hmm.
in keeping them kind of on track and in the rails as well. All right, we have 1 minute left. Hey, Kristen, thanks for joining us. Okay, we have 45 seconds and the silence is absolutely killing me. While we are wrapping up, does anybody want to unmute and share what they created a story on, or maybe like just some kind of like, oh, little aha moment or something exciting that happened as they were exploring this? If you are not comfortable unmuting, you can also go into the chat if you'd like.
Okay, so Lindsay told me about this, and I was like, what about choose your own adventure? And so that is what I just did. And it's so cool how it takes the same, like the exact same steps, but you can say, can you turn this into a choose your own adventure? And it will give you like a pathway in prompts. It's so fun.
Oh, I love that.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Anyone else want to share? Okay, we're going to keep it moving then. So now we're going to take it one step further. We're going to take our story one step further. If we go into Notebook LM, we copy and paste our story from our LLM. We then can do an audio overview of our story, which acts as a podcast, which is a really great way for students to get excited, number one, about a book, to get a preview of a book to see if it's maybe something they want to read or lean into a little bit more, or a story as well. When I did this with my daughter, she was so excited. She said, "Oh my gosh, did somebody actually create a podcast for the story that I made?" And I was like, "Well, not technically, but you should be equally as excited." So I'm going to copy my story here. I'm going to go into Notebook LM, which is a Google tool if you haven't used it before. It's great because it makes like Q&A, study docs, like it'll generate quiz questions for you all in one like hub. which is cool. So I'm just going to copy plain text here. Obviously, you could see there were a lot more options, and then I'm going to hit insert. And then I'm going to hit deep dive conversations and generate. Now, this does take a little bit of time, but it does create an absolutely amazing like podcast. And it's two people talking back and forth, and it seems like an actual conversation that's happening. It does take a little bit of time, but it's definitely worthwhile. I'm gonna take my AirPod out there so that we'll come back to this and I'll play it so that you can actually hopefully hear it. We're gonna hop back to our presentation while that's generating. If you wanted to dive deeper into this, it also can, oops, come back.
That's one thing I've discovered,
Oh,
Lindsay,
okay.
is yeah, if you go off of it, it pauses.
Yeah, it's a little finicky, but so there's a study guide option here for you as well. You can get it to generate questions, so you can ask students questions about the story too, which is pretty cool. All right, we're going to go on to the next one and we'll come back. Our next option would be to use, this is not really connected to the Fable Forge, but it could be if you wanted it to be kind of all inclusive. But this is just using lyrics to become, to use that as another way to get excited about, get your learners excited about reading. So there are a ton of different lyrical learning options for you. I really like Magic School just for the ease of use again. So I'm going to pop back into Magic School and you can see this is the story that my daughter created and some lyrics about it. So she is a big Taylor Swift fan, so she made it to obviously a Taylor Swift song, which is one of the things that I really like about the Magic School song generator is you can make it to like a certain beat, so you could actually put it on, like put your phone on karaoke mode where there's no singing, and then your students can hear it and either read aloud or sing aloud the text that they have. So let me take this. Again, it does not have to be connected to the Fable Forge, but just because we have a piece of text here, I'm going to grab that. It's highlighting. And we're going to call this the Castle of Hidden Wonders. And then let's do Taylor Swift Shake It Off. And I'm going to hit generate. Takes just a couple of seconds. And then you have some lyrics here. Now, obviously, it's not generating music for you, but again, you could put it on some sort of karaoke mode on your phone or on your device and have that music playing in the background, or use something from YouTube as well. This also has the read aloud feature, which I really love, that it sounds like an actual
hidden wonders. In a land far away where the magic shines bright, stands a castle of wonders, glowing in the night. Astra fly.
Obviously, it's not reading it like Taylor Swift would sing it, nor am I going to sing it for you because you would be horrified. So I'm going to go back to Notebook LM to show you this podcasting, this audio overview.
All right, everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
This time, we're going on a treasure hunt.
Always up for a treasure hunt.
We're diving into the Castle of Hidden Wonders.
Are you all able to hear that?
We hear it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yay!
And believe me, this isn't your average bedtime story.
Intrigued already, I have to say.
It's got all the good stuff, a superhero, Astra, with, get this, X-ray vision.
Andy.
Tell me about it. She's got this sidekick, Binky, who's, well, let's just say he keeps things interesting.
Isn't that crazy? It's so amazing, right? So this can be downloaded. You could put it on a QR code. All I can think about is like in a library, how cool would that be to have like book summaries where students could scan a QR code and hear like a podcast summary or an overview of all of these stories or in the classroom. I'm excited about reading and then the story that they prompt crafted as well. That is one of the coolest things Vera showed us last Friday, and I was so excited about it. Okay. What we are going to do is we have 2 for the show, 1 for the go. So you are going to take your story that you created. We're going to give you 5 minutes again, maybe closer to 4 because I do not have great wait time. And you're either going to drop your story into Notebook LM or do lyrical learning and go into Magic School and create some lyrics. Everybody cool with that? Okay, so I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes. Let's go ahead and try it. So pick one of the 2. If you have time to do both, awesome. We have 2 more minutes. Yep, Catherine, I will drop that in for you right now. Oh, Molly, I like that idea. Real lyrics or AI generated? That would be a great discussion and a great way to have a discussion about like, are AI generated lyrics your lyrics or actual lyrics? Like, what would you have to do? Ooh. Molly, I like your lyrics.
I mean, it's just Alaska Wilderness Adventure takes on August by Taylor Swift.
I love it. I'll have to go back and listen to like the song and read through it to see how
You
it
know, they have
stands up
like
against
those
it.
like instrumental versions too on YouTube, so that could be a nice way to
Yeah,
like have the beat without her lyrics.
totally. Okay, Vera's saying that if you do the podcast, download it. So I haven't had that issue, Vera. I've been able to go back to different notebooks.
So
I
yours
went
have been
back to,
saving? Okay. Okay, well, maybe I've tried it just like when it first came out and they weren't. Maybe they fixed that issue. So I've been downloading them
That
every
could be.
time. I'll try
'Cause I
that
went
now. I'll
back
go out
and
and
I
come back.
sent-
Mhm.
I created the one for Hadley, and then went back and showed her like the next day. Okay, our time is up. Let's go ahead and move it on to the next one. I lost my mouse. All right, there we go. Stop sharing that, and we're going to go back to sharing my screen. Okay, does anybody want to share their lyrics, or like if they had like a groundbreaking, exciting podcast that was created?
I would like to share.
I would love it, please.
Right. So I asked Magic School to create a story about an immigrant kid who comes from Mexico, because that's my context. I'm an ESL teacher in
I love
elementary.
that.
So like, how cool would it be if a student feels identified with a story? Because we have books for that, but I think in modern conditions it's different, and there are not a lot of literally for that literature. Sorry, that's the word. And so I generated a podcast, and it's amazing. It's like almost as if it was a real interview of two people speaking of an immigrant kid, and I feel I can see their faces right now, like they will be so excited. So I really like it.
That is so amazing. And like Molly said, to bring more representation to the table and be able to empower students, and make them excited and to feel at home at school, is so important that, that they're represented and that they're excited about the content that they're reading. Thank you for sharing that.
Totally.
That gave
Thank
me
you.
tears in my eyes. So I hope that you're able to share this with your
Um,
students too.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you. Okay. Now we have tailoring your text, finding just the right text, and in just the right time for your students. So we all know that text leveling is really important. When we have sixth grade students that are reading at a second or third grade level, and we're doing reading comprehension, oftentimes they're handed text that is not made for a sixth grade student, and it's really degrading and it's demeaning, and they'll give up because they feel like they are not worth because not worthy because they're not reading the same text as their peers are. And that is one of the things that automatically struck me when AI first came out, was like, oh my gosh, we can finally level the playing field when it comes to like how we check reading comprehension for students. So again, I can take my story. Almost every ed tech AI tool has a text leveling feature. Because I'm in magic school, I am going to use this. But again, you can use school AI to do text leveler. There are a ton of options here. So I can take text leveler. And this also goes the other way, right? For students that have not been challenged enough, they are going to just, give up and know that they can do a light skim over it and do a pretty good job at comprehending. But they might not be giving it their all because the text is not difficult enough for them. So I have this text that was generated for middle school students. I'm going to bump it down to year 2, and then I'm going to hit generate. And pretty quickly, I'm going to have more than likely a shortened story with vocabulary that is brought down to a level that would be something that students that are, of that age or reading, that reading gap, they're going to be able to understand. Again, you have that read aloud feature, which is great for those students. It's quite a bit shorter, you can see, so it's something that is going to be more approachable for them. It's not going to be something that is frustrating or that they're going to give up on halfway through because they just don't have the stamina to get through to the end of the story. Again, text leveler, I can paste this in on lots of different choices here. So I can, put this up to a 12th grade level if I have a student that's really advanced and needs more of a challenge. And I do love the vocabulary changes that it puts into these texts. It's so good. And I find myself like learning new vocabulary all the time when I'm playing around with this as well. So, right. So we also have another way to enhance reading is using a tool called Twee that I really like. And Twee can bring dialogue to life in a way that our students digest dialogue. So one of the ways, this is just one, Twee is an awesome tool for many reading comprehension strategies, but they have something called dialogue topics. So you have a dialogue topic, you can paste your text in, or you can put your standard in as well, and it will take that and create a story about this. So I can put my story in, and then I can also put target vocab words in, and then it will bold the vocabulary words. So great way for students to study, especially, we're putting in a science standard, and then you can just drop those key vocabulary words in, and it does a really good job at that. You can also text level here as well. So they have, let's say this is for 6th grade students, and then you could also do it by age range. So I like that they just added that feature. I hit do magic, and then here is the text for my book. I can shorten it, or for my story, I can shorten it, I can simplify it, I can make it more difficult as well. Lots of other great strategies on Twee. I definitely recommend you coming back into Twee and doing this with the standard and vocab words. Your mind is going to be blown. It's a really, really great tool. Really great way for students to see text and those vocabulary words in a very different way. All right, let's go ahead and take, I think we have time. Let's go ahead and take 2 minutes. We'll take 3 minutes to do 2 for the show, 1 for the go again. So you'll either tailor your text, either up or down, or you can try Twee Talks. If you have time, you can do both of them if you want. So I'm going to set my timer again. Going to set it for 3 minutes to try one of those things.
Okay, we are back. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. We've got a couple more tools for you to check out. Let me share my screen again. I lost it. All right. I think that if you have been on these calls before, you've probably learned a great deal about chatbots from our good friend Stacy. She loves them, and I do too. I will create a chatbot for anything. So for this idea, it would be to use something like School AI to create a chatbot that is student facing to help your students with reading comprehension, vocabulary, inferencing, drawing conclusions, higher order thinking questions, getting them to answer questions to check for comprehension or different vocab as well. So you can actually drop your whole entire story in this. You could also do it with a standard, so it doesn't have to be around Fable Forge. It can be around a standard, and then you can have it act as a tutor for students as well to help them. Maybe you identify some different reading challenges for your students or ways that they need to be grown or developed a bit more. So let's go ahead and take a peek. If I can click on it, it's hiding on School AI. So I absolutely love School AI Sidekick. So I'm just going to click on Sidekick. One of the reasons I love this is because it's really easy to get access to your students, so to have them actually get in and use. And then it keeps a chat history. It's not collecting any PII from students, but it is keeping their chat history, which we all know if we share ahead of time with our students, that's going to keep them honest when they're actually typing in the chat and interacting with the sidekick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to ChatGTP. I am going to copy and I'm going to go into my sidekick and I'm going to say, I want you to act as a reading coach that helps my students struggling with reading comprehension. Use this text that we created. Help. Obviously, the more detail you put into your sidekick, the better outcome you're going to get. But I could do more options. I'm going to tell them that I have a mixed ability class, or I'm working with AIG students, or I'm working with a group of struggling readers. The more information you give it, the better off you're going to be. So for now, I'm just going to say a mixed ability group of 6th grade students. Many don't get excited about reading. And then how would you like Sidekick to interact with them? I usually do the same thing every time. It would be interesting to try some other things, but I would say I would like you to act as a friendly reading coach. Now down here, what rules did you want to set for this session? I will say if you are using this for math, just disclose this. Put in there that you do not want the chat bot to give the answer under any circumstances. It did that for my daughter. I think it felt bad that she was struggling a little bit and continued to just give her the answer after about two missed opportunities. So just sharing that with you, just an FYI. So I'm going to hit start preview here so we can look at it. Hey there, excited to be your reading coach today. We're going to dive in to the Castle of Hidden Wonders. We'll explore the characters. Are you ready to start? What part of the story are you most curious about? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to say I'm not sure, just to see where it goes. No worries. Let's start with the main character. So it's helping to scaffold for my students that maybe just haven't even been able to digest the question that it's asking. What do you think about her superhero ability or the power to fly? Why do you think that's important for the story? So obviously you can go back and forth. And if you are not familiar with school AI sidekicks, all you're going to do when you're ready to go is to launch it. You're going to use the space code, or you can add it to Google Classroom if that's what you're using. I usually just do a space code, which you can copy. When students copy and paste this in, or they scan their QR code or enter that code, it's just going to ask for their name. And then that's all. They're going to just get right into that chat box. So it's really easy for them to access this. And then all of the history is going to show up here for my students. So anytime they enter something, I'm going to see what and how they interacted with their chatbot, which we all know is really important as well. The next one I have is using an illustrator to make text come to life, or to make your story come to life. So Meta has this amazing tool called animated drawings, and you can turn anything into an animation, essentially. So it's really quick and easy, and it's going to help students, connect to text quickly. It's also a great way to teach the little itty bitties vocabulary or different sound words. So you could draw an L, or one of your students could draw an L. You just grab a snapshot of that, upload it into the animated drawings, and then you can have like a little L bouncing across the screen, and you all can practice your sounds. So the L sound as that L is bouncing around. I'm going to pop in here to show you what this looks like. And I actually uploaded a picture already so that we can see what this looks like quickly. So I'm going to upload a photo. And let's say that we're working on sound chunks, and we're working on that at sound. So we have b at. I'm going to go next. And it's saying, okay, this is where we think your picture is. Yep, good, great. I'm going to hit next. And then I'm going to take out any of the background that's kind of hanging out. So this does just take a minute. And the more cleaned up it is, the better the animation will look. So you can do it without like cleaning up and masking, choosing your background and pulling that out, but it will look better if you just take the time to do it. So I'm going to hit next. It's going to analyze the picture, and it's going to try to guess where the eyes and ears and body is. It is not always perfect. Obviously, if you are drawing a bat out of letters, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. But you're just going to hover over it, and you're going to say, that is the right ear. That is the left ear. I've got my left eye over here. It's like all sorts of backwards. I'm going to put my left eye, my right eye. There's the head center, shoulder. That's close enough, right? Let's make that the wrist and that the elbow. And I'll show you with one that might make a bit more sense in a second, but I just wanted to show how fun this is. But I'm going to hit next. It takes just a second, so you do have to wait a minute. And you can see, oh, there's my bat, and it's flying in. I can make it dance. There's bat, at, at, right? There's some funny dancing it can do. It can jump around. It can do all sorts of really cool stuff. Now, obviously, you could have your older students and your younger students too upload a picture that they drew. So here's a picture of a wizard student that has a lightning bolt scar. So I'm going to hit next. So this is a great way for them to connect to the text as well, right? I'm going to hit next here. Okay, here's my right eye. I don't know why it's crossing over today. That's strange. Here's my right, left. Looks like all of that's lined up pretty well. So then I have my animated little Harry Potter with his wand wandering around. So they can animate the story that they created with their LLM too, or any other story as well. And it works really well if you just do a single letter and put like eyes and a smiley face on the single letter. And then finally, I have to share with you using Sunno, which again, if you come to these sessions, Stacey loves Sunno and she's kind of turned us all onto Sunno. But you can actually create music and a song. And it is a great way, especially for those littles and students that struggle with fluency. Reading to a song will help increase students' fluency greatly because they are learning like the natural rhythm of the sound and they're having to follow along, which forces them to move through fluency maybe a little bit faster than they would have on their own. It's also really great for memory retention. Students are going to be more apt to remember the content. So if you're just using this for keywords, you obviously can take those science standards and make lyrics out of that as well. And it helps for contextual learning as well. So making those themes relevant to a student's lives is going to make it more relatable. They're going to have more text to self connections or text to world connections as well. So if I go into Sunno here, and if you have not played around with Sunno, it is absolutely fascinating. It's such a great tool. I'm going to just grab my story. Again, it does not have to be about your fable that you created. It can be about any content that you're teaching. We're going to hit create. And oh, you know what I actually need to do? I need to come over here and I need to say, can you create a summary? Because that's too many words. Can you create a brief summary of this story? You could have your students summarize a story, and then once they have a good summary and they have a firm, solid foundation on that they put their summary, and you put their summary into Sunno for them, or a lyric maker. And then I'm going to hit create. And then I'm going to take my headphones out again. And this takes just a couple of seconds. Usually it takes a couple of minutes to generate, but it does a pretty good job. All right, so we have a quirky pop. Oh, we have two quirky pops. So let's go ahead and play the first one.
In a castle far away, Astra leads the way. Brave and bold every day.
So that's
Magic
our first option.
in a castle far away, Astra leads the way.
So I love this because your students can listen, and then as they're listening, you can either print off the lyrics for them, you can have the lyrics displayed somewhere so that as your students are reading,
Brave and bold every day,
they're able to track the sound and the words with their mouse or their finger as well. And it's so good for fluency. We used to do fluency work a lot around music because it seems very low stakes to students. They don't see how important it is, but it's low stakes, it's fun, and they're working really hard at the same time. Okay, so those are the last three that I have for you, and that's just like in perfect time. So before you go, I am going to have you go into the chat, and you can either drop a GIF or an emoji in the chat that describes how you feel about one tool or one idea that you learned about today, along with what that idea was. So if you were really excited about Sunno, or you were really excited about Notebook LM, tell us that and then drop that emoji that describes that. And then before you leave, give us an emoji about how you think your students might feel about trying some of these strategies out.
And Lindsay, I've dropped the feedback form in there too. Remember to fill out the feedback form and you will get your CEO certificate emailed to you.
Yes, please. Don't forget to do that. We love your feedback. So, reading a close activity as they listen. Use blanks to be important vocabulary. I love that. And then they're using like context clues, and they're inferencing to drop that vocabulary in the right spot. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So as you are kicked out again, and yes, we will drop that feedback form in again. And then it seemed like some of you you're kicked out maybe a couple of times. So we'll have that link that we'll be able to share out and you can rewatch. Again, I will throw my contact information up here. Reach out to me if you have any questions, if you need anything, or if you want to meet to dive into these ideas a little bit further. Oh, what am I supposed to type on PSU? That is which school district you work for, or charter or lab school. So thank you all for hanging out with us this afternoon. Hope you enjoyed your time. I enjoyed sharing all of this with you. Let me know if you need anything. I'm here to help and happy to help as well. I hope everybody has a really great evening, and I hope it's sunny where you are, or maybe trying to be sunny like it is in Charlotte.